But the whole point.
Okay, hold up. Hold up.
The rest is very assertive.
I
didn't think she has a problem with my wife. Levette didn't say it, I did.
Yes, but the whole
Come
point,
to me, not my wife.
Yes, but I didn't think that saying that, in other words, you're simply saying that obviously Levette mimics whatever you do, and to be truthful about it, Levette is probably very much under your total overall disposition, and we can see from the power of your personality that you're not going to allow the woman as much freedom. So simply she is saying, I will get to Levette because Levette is going to be the mirror of whatever Ron says without dispute whatsoever. So I will talk to Levette because I'll be talking to an extension of Ron.
Well, I'm so glad I'm sitting in the middle. Do you think that you all, Bishop, do you think that the two of you will ever get past this Loretta situation?
I'm already past it, but now the show is airing, and I don't mind talking about it.
Okay.
But I do say, if Loretta had a problem with me, which obviously she does, I think it's the proper thing to do to talk to me. I don't abuse. I've never laid a hand on my wife, never called my wife out of her name. But I think Loretta, my wife, is very meek and very respectful. So I think Loretta's trying to take her meekness for weakness, and I don't appreciate that.
I don't see where it was all right. I really don't see that. I don't see, you'd be surprised how docile Loretta is. And I think that part of her reaction is simply being very, in a way, and I'll put it this way.
Pull out your Glock, sir, and at the meeting, the men's meeting, and I just want.
So we're leaving the Loretta situation now.
Okay, we're gonna move on.
All right, because I certainly did pull out my Glock on Loretta.
Yeah, well, I didn't say that you were pulling it out on Loretta. I'm saying at the men's meeting, let me ask you, as a man of God, do you think that it was necessary for you to do that?
Let me explain. Bishop Noel Jones lives in a very affluent neighborhood right across the street from Lake Jerry Bus. Multi-million-dollar houses, and I don't want to say where he lives, but I've gone to the beach out there before. It was called the N-word, okay? So I was driving my Ferrari. I got lost. I don't have a navigator GPS in my Ferrari. The time before that time, coming up to his house, and I got lost, and I had to stop and ask people in the gas station, do they know where X Street is? And I recall last year, my buddy Marlon Winans was robbed at a gas station. Yeah, in Detroit. They took us this, that, and the other. So I said, it's not going to happen to me. In California, the law allows you to carry a weapon if you can qualify. And I qualify to carry a weapon. And even more than that, the Bible allows you to carry a weapon. In Luke 22:38, when Jesus was getting ready to go to the Garden of Gethsemane, back then they didn't have Glocks. But the fact that they had swords, and the fact that it was in Luke 22:38, Jesus allows you to have a 22 and a 38. If the Lord allows it, then I say amen. So if they're not going to respect the Lord in me,
all right. Well, at your meeting, Bishop Jones, you said that Bishop...
My name is Ron Gibson, and I approve that message.
At your meeting, Bishop, you said that Bishop Gibson does not have the capacity to give back as much as you. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Well, you got to understand. You got to understand more than one thing. First of all, you have to look at my age as it relates to Ron. That's number one. You have to look at what I've done in terms of the contacts I've made and the people that I've dealt with around the world as it relates to Ron. You have to understand that I have spent quite a bit of time making relationships simply because I had it available to me, and I've done that, and I've done it with all of my might, because I understand that networking is critical if you're going to be able to touch people's lives. So I can pick up a phone. I was dealing with a gentleman once, and we were dealing with helping the children. And it was a very benevolent kind of a thing, because we were in South Central LA, and we were giving away a whole lot of stuff. He came in with multiple trucks, and because I was associated with him, and he said to me, now, Doc Jones, I don't want your money. I don't need a donation. But what I would like to have is your Rolodex. So sometimes it's not the amount of money that you have in your own pocket, but it's the people that you've associated with over the years. And from that point of view, I simply say, Rob, I got more years on you. I've been out here doing more stuff than you. So as far as it goes, if I'm going to call a meeting together, or if I'm going to have any kind of thing that relates to people in the community, I can make a few phone calls and get it done. I'll tell you one thing you'll find. Because of my association in the community, and because I believe that you build a church by partnering with nonprofits in your community. And because of that, it is known in LA, if you ever want to get anything done as it relates to the community, then get to the City of Refuge. It'll be done.
That's wonderful. All right. Bishop Gibson, did you take it that way?
At first, I didn't understand it at first. That's why I asked you, what do you mean by your capacity is bigger than mine? But when he explained it, like he just explained it after, agreed, Bishop Will Jones is a phenomenal erudite of a preacher, known all over the world. And I highly respect him. He was a mentor of mine. I just got promoted to the purple, became of the same classification as Bishop. So now we're pound for pound. But my capacity is growing, but it's not as large as Bishop Will Jones. Amen. He's rich, and he's very articulate. I respect him highly, and that's the bottom line.
I love you too, Rob. Hey.
Oh, look at all this stuff like
No, listen. Hey, we had a good time, but see, I grew up in a diverse family. I grew up, people, they say to me, why is your parameter so wide? Why is your parameter so wide? And at the end of the story, all of us were particularly opinionated in my family. I mean, we would argue all night until my mother would get in the morning and make pancakes for us. We had argued all night. My older brother's gay. My sister Grace is, sometimes I can't quite figure it out. One of my sisters is married to the chief, the #1 firewoman in Colorado. So you go through my family, you'll find a little bit of everything that relates to the world. And they're my family, and I embrace my family. And I love every one of them, and in spite of what they are, in spite of what they have become, I love them all. And so I understand how to navigate with people who are different than I am. And with wide parameters, you touch a lot of people's lives. And I think that one of the problems with pastoring is the narrower you are, the less effective you can be. And Bishop McClendon puts it like this. He says, you cannot have any effect on anybody you don't relate to. And that's a critical thing.
That's exactly right. That's very good. So, speaking of opinionated and narrow-minded, and I'm just kind of throwing those words out there because I'm switching gears just a little bit. When Pastor Jay Hayslip, Diedrich Hatton, do you feel like Diedrich overreacted, or do you feel like that was appropriate for him to approach Diedrich after the fact about the marriage? What are your thoughts, Bishop Gibson?
No, I don't think Diedrich overreacted. I think Jay overreacted. Because Jay and Diedrich were friends. Jay came to me when I was eating lunch. He said, I have a problem, Ron. I need your advice on it. He said, I was reading the blogs on social media, and they said I should have asked Diedrich, was Dominique pregnant before I married her? I said, wait, hold on. I said, you heard on social media that Dominique was pregnant, and that wasn't your idea? You listening to blogs, and you let people feed something into your mind that's going to cause you to confront Diedrich when that wasn't in your heart? I said, Diedrich asked you to marry him because he trusted you and felt you had unconditional love. I said, Jay, I thought that was from your mind, that you wasn't going to marry Diedrich because you knew Dominique was pregnant. But you said somebody from the blogs, some critic, fed that to you on Twitter, and you fell into it like that. I said, that's totally nonsense. That wasn't inspired. That wasn't your inspired thought.
I think that it was.
Jay kind of pushed the envelope a little bit.
You see, one of the things that bother me so awfully about church folk, and I don't talk about church folk too often because I'm married. Okay, so I'm talking about. But I grew up under heavy manners. Heil Hitler, the Führer himself. My granduncle was my pastor. Now, what I would like to point out is that he wouldn't marry anybody who was pregnant. He wouldn't do it. And I hear people say,
he wouldn't do it.
No, he wouldn't.
Oh.
And I hear people say things like, a child that's an illegitimate child. Now, I wish somebody would tell me what makes a child illegal. You see, after all, so the real sin is not in the man's wife being pregnant. The sin is in them having sex before they're married. So now, why do we penalize her pregnancy or the child in her and begin to start that negative journey that is going to make that child some kind of out-left human being?
Are you talking or do you want an answer?
No, hey, it's what you call argumentative.
Okay,
argumentative. And what I'm doing is I'm dealing with both sides.
Why should we
in the same place?
penalize the pregnant woman? I want to answer that.
See, my point is, no, here's my point. The sin is not in her being pregnant.
Yes, it is. She had sex outside of marriage.
Listen,
that's a sin.
The
It's called
sin,
fornication.
listen to me. Listen carefully.
I'm listening.
Listen carefully. The sin is not in her being pregnant, because had he been having sex with her and she was not pregnant, he wouldn't have the problem. When he was asked straight out, did you have sex before you were married? What was his response? Yes, I did.
That's
The
irrelevant.
point is, no, it's not
That's
irrelevant.
irrelevant.
The point is that people have problems when you get caught.
He said something.
Let's allow Bishop Gibson to
Hey,
respond.
clap. Oh, he said something, Mom. He didn't say nothing. When you listen, sometimes you have sex and you don't get pregnant. Sometimes you have sex and you do get pregnant. She got pregnant outside of wedlock. And as preachers, of which we are, that's against God's word.
So when it has sex in it,
He only condones,
Hold your question.
God, listen to me, young people. God only condones sex within the confines of marriage. And marriage is honorable in the eyes of God. I didn't cut you off.
Listen, who said
Okay,
that
go ahead.
I don't believe? If you listen carefully, the sin was having sex without being married.
You didn't say
That's
that. No, you didn't say that.
He said Bishop.
No, I didn't hear that.
He did say that. Okay.
I rest my case.
The sin was having sex outside of marriage. And we're not condemning them because God is a gracious God. Dietrich has repented. He's moving on.
But we're not,
Dominique has
but
repented.
we have failed to deal with the issue that's significant. The significant issue here is the sin is having sex without being married.
I agree.
End of story.
Right.
So whether or not she is pregnant, it has nothing to bear upon the fact that he had had sex, because he would have married someone else without asking the question if she was not in the stage of having shown or somebody didn't say something. And here's the problem with that. The journey begins for a child who should and is not responsible for what their parents did to bring them in the world, but because of our pseudo-Christian stand, our hypocritical behavior, we now label a child who has to fight against the attitudes of people in a Christian environment over what their parents
That's
did.
a whole different
That
story.
had nothing to do with it. And that's my
That's
point.
not relevant to
My
this
point
situation.
is, you started when you start saying, I'm not gonna marry because you're pregnant, and I need to know. That's when you start villainizing the child. That's when it began. And if I would have raised it and asked,
He's not villainizing the child. He deserves respect if it was his own conviction that he didn't want to marry a couple that was pregnant.
Let me ask this question. No, let me ask a question. Let me ask a question. Let me ask a question. Would he not be better off? Let's forget the pregnancy aspect. Would he not be better off to have asked this question? Before I marry you, I would like to know if you all have had sex.
No, that's irrelevant.
Being pregnant is relevant, but it is the sex that called the pregnancy.
You don't give a brother a chance to talk.
No, because you ain't gonna say it.
Okay, Bishop Noel Jones, we are going to allow Bishop Gibson to finish his statement.
Any preacher has a right to ask prospective couples who want to get married, are you all pregnant? And then after, can I talk here? Can I pay you to talk? Can I I'll let my money at all. But all I'm trying to say is, okay, any preacher has a right to ask a couple, are you all pregnant?
But not if you had sex.
Are you all pregnant? Okay, obviously they had sex if she's pregnant, Bishop Jones. Okay,
But not obviously they're having sex if she's not pregnant.
Right.
But the point here is that she was pregnant and he found out she was pregnant. Let's be germane to the situation and not try to put stuff in that's not there. The whole idea is Jay was upset because Dominique was pregnant and they knew it and didn't tell him. And he's a very conservative man of God and he has the right to be that way. Okay?
I have a question.
And so there's nothing wrong with him asking them, are you all married? But he allowed social media to inspire that, and that's why I feel Jay was wrong.
Okay, all right, so, last question. Bishop Noel, you were going to marry DJ, and you got caught up and you were not able to make it, and what happened was
I was stuck in Jamaica.
Pastor Hayslip ended up carrying out the wedding. So let me ask you, would you have asked DJ if they were pregnant? Or were you aware?
I was not aware, and I would not have asked that question at all. I would not have asked because none of us as pastors generally ask anybody we marry, have you had sex before you came to be married? Are you pregnant before? I don't know any pastor who has any kind of survey that asks two people, have you had sex or are you pregnant? You see, and I don't know any pastor who would have a problem marrying two people who said, I want to get married because we're shacking. I want to get married because she's pregnant. I don't know anybody who would have a problem doing that. Now, if you say Dietrich should have made a disclosure, then I say, fine. Dietrich is a pastor, and he should go to the pastor who's going to marry him and say, you know she's pregnant, I want you to know that. I want you to know it's known, and I want you to make a decision as to whether you want to do that. I think that's fine. But the fact that he didn't do it,
Okay, all right, Bishop Gibson,
doesn't make it
Bishop
legitimate.
Jones. I am going to dare ask the audience if they have any questions for any
Yes,
of
I'm sure
you.
they do.
And do we have microphones for the audience guests? Who's our microphone bearer?
12-ish. What do you like? I need to know what that is because, and I think a generation of young men that's coming up in the ministry that keep slipping and falling because we're not making it. That's a strength, and maybe it's in that Fiji water that you drink it. I don't know. And I'm not trying to be, because I respect what you do, but that 16 years and 17 years. Please tell us how do you be creative and not And I'm not trying. I don't know if there are kids in here, so I don't want to say that.
I think that you have quite eloquently
I'm trying not to go there, Bishop.
there are a couple of things. One is, I never said I have made a mistake. One, I have never said that I haven't made a mistake in 22 years of being single and alone. I never said that. Never said that. I will say the same process that goes for you in making your confessions, and you do not put your confessions out in the mainstream. Confession is something you do private, and you pray that whoever you confess to prays for you and leaves it like that. So I've never said I've never made a mistake in 22 years of being divorced and single. Never said that. But I will say this, that everybody's libido is not the same. All of us don't have the same libidinous drive. There are different libidinous drives. No, listen to me. Every man does not have the same libido. Every woman does not have the same drive. Now, one of the problems with us is that we assume that everybody is feeling the same way we're feeling, and that's why so many men have disappointed so many women, because you haven't studied to see what level she's on. Now, you cannot judge every man by your libido.
We gotta wrap it. We have to wrap it.
Go ahead.
Okay, can I say that? There is not one kid, no kids in here.
Reverend, just say it.
Okay,
you can talk about any subject.
I know you. I know you're saying libido or whatever. Libido. Okay, cool. I'm gonna call it sex drive. Everybody in here, at one time, it comes on.
No question.
And I've asked, and you didn't answer the question. I'm asking you, what did you do, and what are you doing so that we can help us avoid falling into these pits? What are you doing?
How old are you?
Me, I got a wife. So
How old are you?
Me, I'm 30-something.
Okay, good. I happen to have been married when I was 30-something. And one of the reasons why I think I'm single and divorced is because my wife, my ex-wife, did not have my sex drive. I don't have to be a rocket scientist to say that everybody does not have the same degree of sex drive or libidinous, vehement, ebullient stress. We all are different. There's no question about it. We all are different. But I will tell you this. Lady came to me once as a pastor and said to me, Pastor, I want you to pray for me that the Lord will take the way I feel away from me. I said, okay, so I come and I pray for you that he takes the way you feel from you. What if you find somebody and you have had God to take away the way you feel? I guess you'll come back to me and say, now pray for me that the Lord return it. And I said, well, what happens if my first prayer was more anointed than my second one, and you end up not getting it back? None of us wants to lose our sex drive. We just want to be able to manage.
Pastor, what are you doing? You're not answering my question. What are you doing?
And part of why I run so much, and part of why I stay so busy, is because I don't worry about Noel Jones 95% of the time. 95% of the time, Noel Jones is cool. 5% of the time, I have to deal with how I feel. And as I said before, I have not said that in 22 years, I have not made mistakes.
All right. We're going to, this is good stuff. This was great. This is fantastic, right? I just want to take a moment to thank Bishop Ron Gibson. I want you to just thank him. Thank you so much.
This is huge. First of all, I love these guys. You know, I know it's, there was a lot of back and forth. We do this all the time. I want to say something that's really important about the series, because you guys only saw the first episode. These guys, And what we really decided to focus on a little bit more was the ministry aspect. I think it's really important that you guys watch it because I know there's, some drama and conflict in the first episode, but as you watch the series, you'll not only see how they try to resolve the differences and opinions and perspectives on things, but you'll see these guys really going out. You'll see Noel, in one of the episodes, you can actually see a clip online right now, going out and really embracing a family, in a church that have a major tragedy. So, and Ron helping his niece, who's going through drug addiction. So the show is not all about the conflict, the drama, and all that stuff. So you guys gotta watch the series, give it a shot, give it a chance. These guys are awesome men of God, both Ron, and honestly, we casted this thing to make the show very diverse, because everybody has, their own perspective on ministry. Bishop Jones, Bishop Ron, Dietrich, they all have different experiences. So we can all debate and talk about, the issues, but I think it's important that you guys recognize that, yes, they are men of God, but they're human beings at the end of the day. And that was my focus and goal producing this thing, to show you guys that they're human. You guys can relate to them. They have challenges and struggles, and I understand how passionate you are to know. First of all, the guy, and I don't mean to put you on blast, Bishop, but he's almost 70 years old. So when you say 60 years, I don't know what it feels like to be in my 60s or 50s and, what sex is like, but I'm sure it's not the same as being 30 years old. So, for my, not to say it like that, but...
It's the same, Doc. It's the same. Ask the questions in the back. It's the same, my game, baby.
It's not the same.
Baby.
Look,
You can listen to Bishop Jones if you want to.
No, listen, it's not about
Man is a man.
And listen, a man is a man. But regardless, that's not the point. The point is, regardless, whatever he decides on doing is his decision. And honestly, I commend Bishop Jones for telling you guys that, that's not what he's doing in his relationship. You guys should appreciate that and recognize that that's a strong brother.
I got some property on the moon I want to sell y'all too.
Now,